Welcome everybody. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to today's webinar. I'm Selvi from Her Islamic Finance. I'm the founder of Her Islamic Finance. I'm joined by one member of our beautiful team, Shanaz, and of our beautiful community as well. So we are super excited to welcome you today to a very special webinar about how to start now with actual real life tools to halal plus ethically invest. The question that is on top of all of our minds now, how do we make sure that we invest, of course, in a halal way, but more so also in an ethical way to serve our ummah that is having crisis all over the globe, inshallah, especially also our brothers and sisters in Palestine. That's what we will be discussing today with real life solutions. And you will see that all the jargon, all the complexity that you feel like the halal investing space has will disappear, inshallah. So we are super excited to show you this today in our webinar, where you will see not just from our side how you can simply evolve into a halal investor with a set strategy that will set you up for a better future, inshallah, but also how you can ethically invest with Amal Invest. So we will see a real life demo of how to use that and also how your investing account will look like. So it is so nice to meet you all. We are super excited that you take the time today for yourself and with us, trusting us to put you on this journey of making the first step into halal and ethically investing. Inshallah, we have such a great lineup joining from all over the world. We have Switzerland, Spain, US, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, UK, France, Egypt, Australia, Morocco, and many more. So we will so honored and excited to have you. Jazakallah khairan. So we want to get you started right at the beginning. And if there is something that you wish to learn today, let us know in the chat. What is the number one thing that you wish to learn today? We would love to know, and we would love to make sure that you learn this, inshallah, throughout this session today. So, some words on who is Her Islamic Finance. If you don't know us already, we are Islamic finance educator for Muslimas, where we help them succeed right where they're at. Because the financial journey is not just from zero to hero where you start halal investing, but it's more so what we see today in our community. It's about first getting the financial literacy, then starting to invest, but then also taking it the first step further to leaving a legacy, inshallah, for ourselves, but also for our ummah. And that's what also brings us together today. I'm sure each and every one of you is not just thinking about how can I get rich through halal investing, but also how can I do it the right way to leave a legacy, inshallah, that will serve me in the dunya and in the akhirah, of course, inshallah. So if our students describe us with one word, it is that we are empowering, and that's what we love to hear, because it's not that they describe us by the best educator to learn halal investing, but empowering them wherever they are right at their journey. And each step along this way needs to be celebrated, because small continuous steps lead to then becoming a halal and ethical investor. And you will see that also with the checklist that we will provide to you by the end of this webinar, inshallah. What you will also get in the end of this webinar to be empowered is a recording of this whole thing. We will put that on YouTube, inshallah, and also right in our programs. You will see we have beginner programs for free, but also, of course, advanced investor programs. We will put it everywhere so that you can keep benefiting from this, inshallah. So if someone in the future is watching this on YouTube, definitely come over also to our program where we will keep providing such webinars and resources for free, inshallah. So who are we? Who is Her Islamic Finance? We exists since 2023 after the founder's personal transformation, which is me, Selvi. I went through a personal transformation to becoming a halal investor. And then as I advanced in my financial strategy and my financial system, people kept asking me to teach them how to do it. I got a lot of client requests, so that I decided, let's make it formal. Let's help as many sisters as I can. And I founded her in Her Islamic Finance. We offer halal investing courses from beginner to advanced level. And by now, Alhamdulillah, we have educated hundreds of women, um, and empowering them to take their individual journey. And it's really, really such an honor to see their success, because that's what ultimately is our success. And we also are very passionate about empowering and as many sisters as we can. So we have hundreds of free resources in our beginner program, but also on social media. So we want you to take advantage of whatever we can provide to you and help you on your journey, inshallah. So our success is the success of our students. We have all 5 stars Trustpilot ratings. If you want to be inspired on how your successes or little wins could look like on your journey, hop over to our Trustpilot, read along. It's very inspiring to see how far sisters have come through our program. We are so honored and happy to see that. And then, of course, we have the Muslimas that are actually confidently building their own successful financial system. And it's not just halal investing, it's really about building a system, inshallah. And we have, of course, what is very unique to us, we have the community which provides a safe space that many Muslims are longing for. We are all isolated in our financial journeys most of the time. And in our community, we really see the Muslimas thrive because they can overcome the blockers. We have weekly discussions and weekly exchange of resources, helping each other and celebrating each other. It's really, really beautiful to see. And it's really, really helpful, because the financial journey can be a lonely one, and it can also be one that is intimidating and keeps us blocked in certain times and prolongs the whole process, where we can move faster if we also do it together, inshallah. And last but not least, we are very proud and honored that we also continuously raise sadaqah together as a community, and we also give effort into the topic of ethical investing. You see, we try to make an impact as much as we can, bring the voice of our community to the Islamic finance market, so that we can make a change towards the better Islamic solutions. And we are really happy today that we can present one of them, which is Amal Invest, which have really built something very great, and we have been testing it and seeing it in action for quite a while now, mashallah. So if you like what you see, and if you would also love to like level up your journey, join us today, our beginner and advanced investing programs. Check out our Instagram, our website, you name it, and you will have it all linked, inshallah. So why are we here today talking not just about halal investing, but about ethical investing? Because we have said we have an amazing community. And this community is not just about halal investing, but it really has become a movement where sisters are passionate about investing the right way and taking it further, also leaving this legacy, inshallah. So that's why we actually have a community-built ethical delegation. These are all students of ours that came together in a group and said, we want to push this topic in the Islamic finance space. We don't want just to sit back and see what is there and try to do it ourselves. We really want to be part of discussion and make our voice heard loud and clear. So you see, we have Ikhlas, Muna, Shanaz, Bishra, myself, part of this ethical delegation. You will have seen one or the other already on our Instagram page. For example, we did an Instagram live with Amal Invest to just get you introduced to them with Ikhlas, where it's really, really amazing to see that our community is not just thriving personally, but really as a group, moving towards the right direction, inshallah. And yeah, it's really being part of a movement. And so are you joining in today. And we are so honored and happy that you decided to join our movement towards ethical investing, where you will get started very soon, inshallah. So the agenda for today, you already have seen it in the sign up. I will keep it very short and clear. It's about understanding how you change your future through investing, what it really does, why it's even maybe needed for your future. Then the beginner products that you will see are very sufficient for a solid strategy that will keep you and that will get you to where you want to be in the future long term. And then you will see the ethical investing and halal investing in action with Amal Invest. And we will provide to you the HIF checklist in the end, so you can take this away and keep working on it with actual real steps, inshallah. Great. So when we talk about changing your future through investing, we have to start where we are at most of the times. And as Muslims, we have to say a lot of the times when it comes to finances, we face a harsh reality. And I don't know if you can relate to this or not, but a lot of the times we have additional hardships when it comes to finance and also other topics, of course, here living in the West, where we don't have access to Islamic finance services most of the time, where actually the system that we are inherently part of is working against our Muslim values, where we are part of riba, where we are part of funding genocide, for example, and very, very harmful industries all over the world. And of course, the Muslims are in today's time facing a lot of global conflicts that we feel connected to, and we are also feeling a sense of responsibility to take care of our ummah and also put our finances in the right way and make sure they are not funding against our ummah, inshallah. So what that means is most of the time, because inherently we are part of a system that is kind of rigged against our Muslim values, we need to come up with a personal plan. We need to take our financial systems into our own hands, especially outside of the US, Canada, and the UK, where we really are struggling to find any financial service that is dedicated to Muslims. So we really have to do it ourselves. We cannot just hand over our money to an Islamic fund manager. We have to learn how to do it ourselves. And halal and ethical investing is one part of that. So what we see without this personal plan, in today's time, normal goals that Muslims would have are starting to get out of reach. And please hold up your hand in the chat if you feel this is happening to you as well. Like we all want to do Hajj. It's kind of getting out of reach with the increasing prices, the inflation that we face, the additional hardships that we have as Muslims. A family living off of one salary is really, really difficult to do, right? I see hands coming up. That's really nice that you can relate to that, because it's really something to take as a wake-up call. Work-life balance is getting all out of our hands, and this means most of the time what we see in our community, it means time for ibadah gets really, really difficult, if we are exhausted and burnt out all the time. Escaping retirement poverty is a big one, and the one that we face much later in life when it maybe is too late to come up with a financial plan. And not just we, but also we Muslims, usually we live not in isolation. We live caring for our parents, caring about our ummah, caring for kids. We live in a community, so all these things, also if we have parents coming to retirement, if they come into poverty, if this has not been taken care of, it falls on our back as well. So all these things are really, really difficult. Plus, we see our ummah suffering on a global scale. Yeah, and we are all affected by it, I am sure. And the thing is, saving will not get us out of this state. Saving will not get us in today's time in a position of empowering ourselves to be able to take care of all those things. So that's why we at HIF, we want to show you that investing is very simple to do and can just help you escape or get out of these hardships that we are already seeing in our future, right? And in our present even. So how to do that? How to use now investing to secure your future and to gain also a sense of freedom. That's what we all want, right? And this is just a real life example. We are not gonna talk high level, show you like flashy things or luxury lives. We're gonna show you real numbers on how the real market, on how it has been working in the past, and if it keeps continuing like that, that's the assumption, what it can gain you through investing. And with something as simple as investing steady amounts each month, you can easily, as you see in the graphs, double your money, triple your money, or 5x your money until your retirement. And also in the period between that, your money is multiplying, of course. So this example shows you someone that is investing $200 each month into the market. And you see the blue line is, of course, the highlight. This is someone that starts at 25, rather young. Until 65, this person would have 5 times their money. So the payment into their investments is 69,000, and this person will get by the end of their retirement, or by the start of their retirement, over 500,000 just by taking advantage of the market growth. And while this could have been saved, you see that there is like a 400K difference to that. And that's something to, of course, wake up to. These are the real numbers, right? That you can take advantage and secure your future. And just imagine what you would do with this additional 400K, and also come back to the challenges that we see today, and what we could do to solve them, inshallah. But the message is, even if you didn't start at 25, I know actually our followers are somewhere between 25 up to 40 years, and it's really beneficial to start at any age. That's the message. This one thought that many sisters have, or many Muslims even, is, oh, I wish I would have started earlier. Forget about this. Now is the time, and it's the right time. You can still make a much better future for yourself by investing. For example, if you start by 35, the green line, you will have invested 72,000, and you will have just more over 200K just by investing. And even if you start at 45, you will still more than double your investment. And who wouldn't say no to that? Who would even say, who wouldn't even accept doubling their money without putting in any time and not too much effort? You will see the beginner way of investing is a really simple one, and the important thing is to stick to it. So here is the message that we want to leave you. And this is also, again, based on research. We are not giving you our opinion or our ideas. We give you what the research shows, what the numbers show. The best, okay, maybe this is one opinion. The best time to start is now. That just shows you, because you see the big gains come in the long term also, that it's not a straight line, but of course the multiplication happens in the long term, right? When you keep investing. So consistent small amounts beat big moves. And this has been shown by research time and time again, by real life examples as well, that people who wanted to make one big get rich fast hack never have beaten the ones that kept consistently at their strategy, paying in every month. This has been shown to be the best strategy. And the good news is this is such a beginner-friendly strategy. Any one of us can do that. Taking the same amount, putting it in the same products that are part of your strategy, is really not complicated or sophisticated too much. You don't have to research which stock to invest in every month. You can just take the same amount and invest it in your strategy and maybe adjust your strategy once, twice a year, whatever. And that's it. So a beginner strategy is really good enough for most people to multiply their money in their long term. And I say it long term, long term, long term. I think by now you understand this is also the way of how we teach investing at HIF. We don't teach you get rich fast schemes. We teach you a long-term, steady, even you can call it boring way of investing, making sure it is halal, making sure it is ethical. That's the much more important point. But that will get you there. So it's about time in the market, not about timing the market, not about finding the right time to make a big gain, but just keep in the investment strategy for a long time. So we really hope you can see by real numbers on how this can change your future, inshallah. And you have to know that what we see in our community and also throughout all our followers, the common evolution of a halal investor is one that really takes small little steps that might feel invisible because it takes quite a while for us to actually start investing. And you see, I put the start in red here because usually what we start off is we build a foundation for halal investing and for our financial system first by breaking financial literacy or breaking financial illiteracy actually and building financial literacy because most of us we don't come from generational wealth, from generational financial knowledge, from schools or governments or other advisors that teach us how to do these things, but it's quite the opposite actually. Oftentimes the mindsets that we are given from our families unfortunately are not serving us to build wealth. So we have to break this first, and it can feel very tedious because you don't see a result, right, while you are building this financial literacy. And then while you build this financial literacy, while you work on your foundation, that can feel maybe like you're not getting anything out of it yet, you will also hear and learn about investing. Maybe it's with your coworkers, or maybe it's with your peers at school, or even from your family members. But then here comes the deal. You hear about it. You also hear maybe from your coworkers how they have their financial managers that manage their money and invest the money and so on. But it is not halal. Now, we as Muslims are then puzzled and first of all have realized that we have this additional step of learning how to do it the halal way, and that can scare off a lot of sisters or a lot of Muslims. It can just be like the cherry on top that we think already all of this stuff seems so complicated and now we even have to learn how to make it halal. Is it even possible to make it halal, or is all of this haram? A lot of questions come up here. So you see, actually, half of the journey is not starting to invest and building your wealth. In fact, it's making really the small steps, grinding your foundation to then start investing. So once you then learn about how to halal invest, or you are lucky and you find a Islamic fund manager that invests in a halal way for you, then you are able to start investing. But then with most of the halal investors, the journey doesn't end there. The common evolution takes the additional step where we then realize, okay, we have maybe these halal funds and these halal products available, but if we look deeper into them, they don't align with our ethics that are beyond halal and haram, right? And we want to make also clear here, the halal products, just because we find unethical things in there doesn't make them haram. So this is a distinction that we have to do. We have to be clear as Muslims what is halal, what is haram. But of course, we have an ethical responsibility to do the right thing. And this is also something that we will be held accountable for. So then we have even an additional step on finding a way to not just halal invest, but also ethically invest. But we want to say clearly, the last step is not the first step. What do I mean by that? I mean that it is really very much okay to start investing um, in a halal way if it's easier for you to first start with the halal ready-to-go products that we have before you then move into a customized way of investing with Amal Invest, for example, which gives you then the whole breadth of investing exactly in what aligns with you, not just in a halal way, but also ethically. Yeah, be sure to start and learn as you go, because you see already we have these additional steps and additional hurdles to overcome. All right, I hope this makes sense to you. You see yourself here, and the good message here is we have plenty of sisters who have gone all this way, but we have also seen stories and heard struggles of sisters getting blocked before they even come to the third or fourth part, right? And that's the pity. So that's why also having a community is really, really helpful. If you don't join HIF, make sure you have at least one friend that you can keep pushing yourself with and exchanging your blockers and your worries that keep you going, inshallah. All right, and now we already arrived at the beginner product that I would love to now explain to you in a very simple way. And you will see it is something that you can very simply invest in as a beginner. And this is really already a solid strategy. So what we have talked about, maybe some of you already heard about it, is exchange traded funds, or in short, ETFs. Please raise your hand in the comments if you already heard about them, if you know already something about them. And by the way, I love that. Okay, so let me go back one slide. By the way, I wanted to encourage you, please, if you feel confident to share, write in the chat, where are you at in this journey? We would love to know where are most people at, because we really see that step 1 and 2 are really, really hard and can take a long time and can get you stuck. So we would love to know. Please write in the chat. Jazakallah khairan. So back to ETFs. So you see this beautiful cake there, right? A beautiful purple and red cake. So this is what an ETF represents. So we understand most of the time what it means to invest in a stock, or translated, invest in an actual company. But how about but the problem with that is that we carry the risk of this company that could tomorrow be in a crisis, the price could drop, or this company could even close down, which we have seen in the past. So your whole investment disappears, evaporates, right? But if we choose to invest in a cake filled with hundreds, sometimes thousands of companies, we mitigate that risk, meaning that if one company disappears in that whole cake, we still have the 99 or 900 other companies in there, and we still have a rising value of this ETF over time, because the market has shown to always rise in the past, right? And the benefit of this beginner product is that it is diversified, which is exactly what I just explained. You're not just depending on one company, but have these hundreds and thousands of companies. And generally, because the fund manager makes this big cake that then also hundreds or thousands of investors can take their slice, they just have to bake it once, right? They don't have to make one strategy for each customer. So they can break down the cost as well of making this cake through all these slices. So it's generally low cost and also low maintenance because it's one click, you buy this one product in your broker account. And by the way, also the Western brokers, so if you are in Europe, for example, you can find the halal ETFs there. So you don't have to have a Muslim broker to have access to them. That's the good news. And they are usually low maintenance because you click once and then you always see how it's doing. You don't have to calculate anything additional in there. So that's the benefit of them. And we have listed like three halal ETFs, for example, that comply to Sharia standards. You have maybe already also heard of them. Wahed have two ETFs on the market. Then we have also the S&P 500 Sharia compliant fund. But there are also many more, and you can find the list. Yeah, you can find the list and much more out there. But already, like you have three funds to choose from, so that's already a great start from a beginner point of view. And now let's talk a bit about the disadvantages because, yeah, it is a really valid beginner product. And as said, HIF really supports that if you have a hard time figuring out this whole investing thing, if you decide to start there, it's a valid strategy until you keep learning and keep evolving in your strategy. But you have to know there are some disadvantages, which are they generally have higher fees than non-halal ETFs because of course they are customized for globally seen a smaller group of investors. So the fees are usually higher there. And they are also, which goes hand in hand with the high fees, their performance is usually also lower than the non-halal ETFs. So they grow less and slower than other ETFs. Also, we have seen that they are not 100% Sharia compliant at all times, meaning that if we look into it over time and check all the companies, and you can use tools, for example, like Amal Invest or Zoya to check that. If you look into that, you will find one or the other company that has turned non-Sharia compliant and it's still in the fund. So that's also a disadvantage clearly that we state. And they are not customizable. You have to take this slide with a slice of cake with all the companies that the fund managers provide. You cannot say, I want to remove now the one companies that are on the boycott list. You cannot say that. You can even not say, I want to remove the companies that have turned non-Sharia compliant. So these are the disadvantages that investors and especially investors in our community have very, very quickly spotted. And we have been discussing since the beginning of the program even, and we have also arrived here at having certain solutions. And now having this webinar where you can see how to solve these disadvantages that you have if you start out or if you don't want to take this start with halal ETFs. So that brings us to the customizable funds that are ready to use. And these are then also funds, but they are customized to your values and what aligns exactly with you. And we have today on the market Amal Invest and Zoya that provide this solution. And we will see Amal Invest in action just later in this webinar. All right, and now I would love to hand over to Shanaz. Shanaz, are you here?
Yep. Thank you. Jazakallah khair, Sylvia. I'm going to borrow your cake analogy for this one as well, because it was such a great summary of an ETF. Yeah, so we've got these questions that keep coming up when we talk about ethical plus halal investing. Does halal ETF mean it only consists of Muslim companies? No, this is not true. This is not the case. It could be that a company in the US can be Sharia compliant, but it's not Muslim owned. It's just about how the company earns and manages their money. So it's not about the ownership. Another question that we see typically is like, oh, but company XYZ is in the ETF and it's on the boycott list. So this is where it comes where we want to customize the cake. And how do we do that? How do we make sure that the cake is both halal and compliant with Sharia laws and also ethically compliant with our own values and principles? And lastly, the question of, is there a halal ETF that is also boycott friendly? One that we can look at and say, okay, this is compliant Sharia wise and also with the, let's say, BDS list, for instance. And this is the question that Amal Invest is going to be demoing and taking us through in the upcoming section. If we can go next. Okay. Now this slide is very, very emotional because we've seen the image on the left so many times. We know what these companies are. We know how they're profiting from the genocide and how they're actively working against the ummah, and we've actively been avoiding these companies, avoiding spending money on them, boycotting them, not being associated with them, actively speaking out against them. But how can we make sure that our investments also are away from all of this, that we don't put our money into any of this? And this is where the right image that we see with the genocide filter that Amal Invest have built, it's very easy to make sure that everything in our cake is both compliant Sharia-wise and also ethically with the boycott filters activated.
All right, perfect. Jazakallah khair, Shanaz. So that's the bridge to now the question, how do we solve that in real life? And I just want to see if we have Omar from Amal Invest in the chat. Yes.
Salam everyone. Sorry for joining late. Yeah, I'm Omar from the Amal Invest team. I handle the product development and customer support. I'm just one part of the team. Amal was originally founded by Yazan, which Yazan is just like a very technical person who tried to solve all the problems that Sylvie and Shanaz were talking about basically, but like from a technical point of view. That's why that was one of the reasons like Amal was created. And all the questions that and the slides that Sylvie and Shahnaz have been going through are pretty common questions like all the beginner investors tend to have, specifically like Islamic investors, people who want to do halal investing. And they're all very legit questions. Even as someone who works as a developer, when I first joined Amal, there were a lot of questions like were just being discussed now. I didn't know anything about. So these are all issues like we try to solve within Amal Invest and any other like Halal investing platform. But the information provided here is very valuable for any beginner. And I'll try to demo the application of Amal Invest, how we do all the things that Sylvie and Shahnaz were talking about within our application. And so you can get like a better overview of how the ETF is created, how we go over the purification of that ETF, all the stocks that are within that cake, and how can a Muslim investor like go ahead and invest safely with like peace of mind and not having to worry about all the Sharia compliant statuses of all the stocks within that fund, when to change a fund, when to remove a fund from that piece of cake. So to do this, I'll go ahead and demonstrate our application. Allow me just to share my screen so we can go over that. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the main dashboard within the ML Invest platform. I'm currently like just demoing that over a Tether account for the development app within my system. So as you can see, basically any user, like the first thing they want to do is to create a fund. What we do at Amal Invest is we take those uh, top performing ETFs that Sylvie was talking about, those pieces of cakes, like those cakes, and we create a filtered versions of these funds. So a user can go ahead and click on create fund. For the standard subscription, we use like the two most popular funds within the app. Those are called the Grow Fund and the Safe Fund. These funds are based on the Fidelity Growth Fund and the Vanguard Dividend Fund. So I'll just go ahead and click on Create a Grow Fund. This will show us the Grow Fund, how it's constituted originally with all the compliant, doubtful, and non-compliant stocks within that. You can think of it as a cake. As you can see, we have NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple that are the bulk of the constituents of that fund. You can see the percentage that this cake, so you can think that NVIDIA has this slice within that cake, 17.39%. And Zoya tells us that this stock is compliant. So when you create the filtered fund, this stock will be included within the filtered fund. Some stocks are considered doubtful, so there isn't like a final say whether they're non-compliant or compliant. You can consider them in the gray area, and within ML Invest, you can choose whether to include these or not. But by default, all the non-compliant stocks, as you can see here, are excluded from any filtered fund you create. You can check all the funds, like as Sylvie said, there are hundreds, sometimes thousands. This stock has around 327 stocks, the Fidelity Growth Fund. Here you can see that almost always, like the case for the filtered funds, we do something here. We check a back testing of the filtered fund against the non-filtered counterpart, and we go over the last 5 years. This happens because uh, the data providers provide us with the data of these funds back to 5 years. So as you can see, almost always the filtered fund outperforms the non-filtered fund because the top stocks within these filtered funds are just the tech companies, which often perform better than any other stocks within the cakes, if you want to consider them a cake. And before creating the fund, you can see like it has 156 non-compliant stocks. So within that Fidelity Growth Fund, if you want to go ahead and invest in it just as it is and pay the fund fees and everything that this service provide, you would have to include 156 non-compliant stocks. But with ML, when you create a filtered copy of this fund, these stocks, the non-compliant ones, will automatically be removed. So you just click on Invest and Grow, and that will go ahead and create a filtered copy of this fund. So the 327 stocks that are within this fund will decrease to, I think, around 100 something. After it's created, we can see how much. We now have 162 stocks that are just compliant and doubtful because we decided to include the doubtful ones. So now we can go ahead and make an investment. And as you can see, like originally 17% was attributed to NVIDIA because that was the allocation within the original fund. But since we created a filtered copy, we recreate those targets to stay aligned as the original fund. But this time we have it in a compliant ETF where we don't pay uh, any fund fees. So we can just go ahead and now we have a filtered copy of the fund that's going to stay updated whenever these stocks update their statuses. So Zoya tells us, for example, next month, NVIDIA will become non-compliant. So we can choose what to do with that fund, to liquidate it on spot or just wait for another few months to make sure that it's going to stay non-compliant for two reports, or just do nothing and just get notified and do what we want personally. We always have the final say on what to do with our money with ML Invest. And here you can decide to invest. Let's say we want to invest $1,000 within this filtered fund. We click on preview, and here we will see how this $1,000 will be divided across all the funds, across all the stocks within this fund. As you can see, we will end up buying 77 orders. So the $1,000 won't cover the 132 stocks. Maybe we're gonna need more. But that's the nice thing. Whether you invest $100, 500, or $1,000 a month, you can rest assured that this money is always gonna be invested in compliant stocks. And another feature that we've spoken about was the genocide filter. So we have a custom filter tab here within the app. If you click on filters, you can block the pro-Israeli companies that Sylvie and Shahnaz displayed in that slide. You can choose whether to include the most widest filtering. So you're gonna block all these companies that were listed in the BDS filter. Let's say we're gonna add 37 companies to the blacklist. We can save this blacklist, and those 37 companies will be excluded from any future investment or current investment we have within our funds. You can also add any other one, not just like depending on the BDS filters. So for example, let's say we don't want Microsoft to be included in any of our investments, current or future ones. We just search for Microsoft, add it to the list, and save the blacklist. So this is Amal in just a nutshell. Basically, it goes over all the stuff, the main questions and the points that Sylvie was going through, but we do it in a beginner-friendly way so that the user won't have to stay intimidated and have to worry about all this compliance questioning, what to do when a fund turned non-compliant or stock within a fund turns non-compliant. We want you to think of it as halal investing on autopilot. And the broker we use, like to do all these trades, to execute all these trades, are done through Alpaca. And the reason we choose Alpaca is because it allows us to execute, like as we saw, a filtered fund can be include like 132 stocks. So if we're gonna invest in 132 stocks, we want to make sure that these investments are always done on time. We're not facing any issues with the execution of these trades. And we found that Alpaca has been one of the most supportive brokers we've used. They have a good API, good documentation, something we've been struggling a lot with. Like that's one of the main reasons we don't add a lot of other brokers. And the most advantage, the biggest advantage for Alpaca is that there isn't any trade fees. So you can have all these trades done without paying the broker any extra money. That's it from my end. If you have any other questions, I'll gladly answer them.
Yes, and please feel free to use the chat. We will answer also more in-depth questions in the end of the webinar, inshallah, because this should be also a recording. So we don't want to extend it unnecessarily during the call. Inshallah, seems like a very detailed question in the chat. Jazakallah khair. I will just go ahead and show this slide while I keep finishing up the webinar, inshallah. And yeah, Jazakallah khair, big times for Amal Invest. I love to see it in action. The first time, the 10th time, as I did now, always. Allah Mubarak, what you've built. Please, for anyone in the call, take 5 minutes, even 3 minutes. Take a screenshot of that, leave us a review. We would appreciate that so much because it encourages other brothers and sisters to also start their journey and keep learning about it and see that it's not that challenging and difficult. So about Amal Invest, what I want to say is a big concern that we see with our students is that do these funds and these companies then can they disappear, or what can happen to them? We want to be clear that Amal Invest is just a tool that makes it so simple to completely customize your fund, but you are the owner of the fund forever and always. And you can also then see them in your own broker account. So you don't hold these funds with Amal Invest, you hold them in your account. And what the beauty of that is you can even fine tune your investing strategy with other products as well. If you wish, you have really the whole spectrum of halal investing products that are available to you. You can add gold investing or crypto investing or whatever in your broker account. You can do whatever you want. You can even sell one of these companies if you then change your mind, you know. Amal Invest is just the rocket that makes it 1,000 times easier to invest, which would be impossible and so tedious if you would want to do it yourself in your broker account, but you are the owner of all of that. So now this is where you would land at step 4 of the evolution of a halal investor that I have shown you. Now, there are many small steps between them that can seem boring, that can seem even pointless, that can seem discouraging. That's why we have put together a proper checklist for you, where you have some of these steps to make also clear you can do this. It is one small step at a time. You don't have to go from zero, knowing nothing about Islamic finance or halal investing, to now customizing your fund tomorrow. You can take all these steps and they are really doable. So that's what the message is here, and also what we want to show in this webinar. It's a real life thing. It's really doable what we have available today in the market. So there you go. You can take this checklist, then go through it, and it's really fine if you also take halal investing step by step. You don't have to have your full strategy ready, laid out before you take the step of investing. You can start also even investing in a halal ETF before you use something like Amal Invest, where you can use the customization and the filtering. Give yourself grace and celebrate each step at a time. You will keep advancing, inshallah, if you keep at it. Just as investing is a consistent journey of small steps, the whole is building your financial system is one of small and consistent steps as well. However, if you need a place to belong now or sometime in the future, you feel stuck, you feel isolated, you feel it's just too much to do by yourself, feel free to use HIF and join our thriving community. We get stuck every month. We see sisters, but we overcome it together. We have a beginner course where we build these fundamentals that I've shown you before you start investing. Well, let's say in a more sophisticated way, but still this will get you to investing as a beginner and setting your fundament. Most importantly, you have tons of free resources there as well. And then, of course, we have the advanced investor module where you have the online modules, you have the full transformation of knowing absolutely nothing about Islamic finance and becoming an advanced halal investor with all these products that I now briefly mentioned, such as gold, crypto, and so on, that you also can choose from and benefit from. Then you have the monthly community coaching calls where we come together, invest together, or discuss topics together. And you have a nurtured community chat where we work even within working groups on building our steps throughout the modules of the program. And with that, I would love to wrap up the webinar. Omar, Shana's last words before we, inshallah, close the deal and close the webinar and take the question also in the chat, inshallah.
I want to thank you for what you're doing and raising the awareness for this. I think it's something that's not very touched upon, and all the beginners needs more resources and just to share the knowledge and just be together to spread this knowledge. I think it's something very needed. So thank you for what you're doing.
Jazakallah khair, and right back for providing the tools that really enable get us the access to the full market that Muslims didn't have before ever. So Jazakallah khair also to the Amal Invest
Thank you so
for all
much.
of that.
As a student as well, I can vouch for the program and say how it has really helped me unblock almost 2 years of overthinking things and taking the steps and feeling comfortable to take the steps, and now moving into taking the steps towards making everything ethical. So, Jazakallah khair.
Wayaki, and Jazakallah khairan to each and everyone who took the time today to join this webinar. We are so honored and happy for that. Jazakallah khairan to future viewers of this webinar, inshallah, that we will put on YouTube and in our programs keep learning. Feel free to reach out to HIF anytime. I think I'm speaking also for Amal Invest. Whatever you need, reach out. We are here to support you. And that was a
Definitely.
great pleasure. Thank you so much.